Good evening. This is News.PH, but it's not politics as usual. I'm Pio Hontiveros. It is rare that the leadership of the armed forces of the Philippines gathers together. That rare moment came today when Lieutenant General Emmanuel Bautista retired and stepped down as Chief of Staff, and when his academy classmate, Lieutenant General Gregorio Pio Catapang Jr., swore an oath as the new Chief of Staff. This all took place in a change of command ceremony that is a military tradition. News.PH is privileged to be here in Camp Aguinaldo with the man named after two revolutionary hero brothers, the new AFP Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Catapang. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Pia. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for accepting our invitation, sir. Sir, can we begin with this? Why do you think that the biggest threat to the country is not armed insurrection or the armed rebels, but climate change?
First of all, I'd like to say that formerly it was the rebels who were the greatest threat to our country, but now the situation has changed. Just for example, the Typhoon Yolanda. A single typhoon, could you just imagine a single typhoon killing more than 6,000 Filipino people? And now, because of global warming and climate change that spawn super typhoons, the soldiers cannot anymore stop this challenge. Not like before, when the soldiers are told that there are insurgents in a barrio, we come and they run. Now, when we go to the barrio and tell them that there's a typhoon coming, all of us run and go to the evacuation center.
So you have a new battle plan for this new enemy on the horizon?
Yes, that's why what I told during my acceptance speech was the wars that will be fought will all be global. It's global terrorism. We still have terrorism. We have still insurgency in the countryside, but it's more of global. It's supported by the Al-Qaeda down there at the ASG. And hopefully it will be contained in Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. Another global challenge is the climate change.
Okay, you're saying because these threats know no borders. Wala sila, you know, they go through porous borders. In other words.
Yes, of course. Then you also have the maritime security concerns. You also have hopefully the PNP and other government agencies can handle that. The threats to transnational crime, global weapons smuggling, arms smuggling, human smuggling, and hopefully not global threat to weapons of mass destruction.
So the concern about climate change is something that is very close to your heart. I remember that when you were in the Northern Luzon Command in NOLCOM, you and your soldiers turned mahogany and acacia trees into furniture, no? To raise funds for the victims of Yolanda.
Typhoon Yolanda. We were hit by Typhoon Santi, but fortunately it was just the strong winds. Now, because the trees that fell down saved our lives, because they were so enormous, the wind, the strong winds, the trees absorbed the strong winds, and they fell. So had not been for these trees, maybe our barracks, our headquarters should have been blown out. So we want to immortalize them because they were able to save our lives. So that's why we are also not only active in disaster response, we are also very much active in tree growing, not only tree planting.
Okay. Why is this something that is very close to your heart, this concern about climate change?
You know, I've always experienced disasters during natural calamities, and I see that as early as 2009, I saw the coming in of a new war. You remember Undoy, Peping,
Yes.
Ramil? And there were even 2 typhoons that were supposed to come in, and hopefully they did not. It paralyzed the entire Luzon area. First, Undoy hit Metro Manila. We were paralyzed the whole day. And then we had a bad experience wherein the chain of command was in disarray.
During Ondoy,
That
sir?
was, I still remember that, September 26, 2009. I was working in the office, and when I was about to take my lunch, Secretary Gibo Chodoro was in front of the lobby of D&D, and I told him, "Sir, why are you here? It's raining hard." You know, Greg, it's not only raining hard. The entire Metro Manila has been isolated. I'm the only one here, and nobody is manning the office. So he told me, you better join me, because General Rabonsa is out, General Goles is out, the administrative officer is out. I'm only all alone. So we will experience those things in the near future.
So it was your personal experience, sir?
Yes, of course, the personal experience.
Okay, because although General Manny Bautista did talk about humanitarian assistance and disaster response as another role of the soldier, it sounds like you're going to take this to the next level, no?
Yes,
Mas
of course.
paigtingin pa ito.
Yes, of course. Our role is the protector of the people. And it did not say that we will be only protectors of the people during war or armed conflict. I think it also includes protection of the people from natural calamities.
You did a series of trainings for HADR, Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response, in NORCOM. Are you going to replicate this now all over the country now that you're Chief of Staff?
Yes, of course. Because of our experience in Typhoon Yolanda, I told my commanders that you don't need to ask permission to put up the command center or the OCD AFP Action Center. Right immediately after the storm leaves, you have to put up a command center so that the people will know that there's a response that is being done by the government. Together with the AFP and the Office of Civil Defense.
Are soldiers going to be trained also the way they were
Yes,
in
of course.
NORCOM?
You know, the problem now is we are all, we want to help, but we want the help to be more responsive and responsible, so that right after the typhoon is over, we will be there.
Okay. General Catapang, the internal peace and security plan that aims to make the communist insurgency irrelevant by 2016. That's just, I'm sorry, 2015 or 2016, no, which is just 2 years away. That will continue.
Yeah,
correct,
of course.
sir?
Of course. In my assumption speech, I told them that 45 provinces out of the 73 provinces have already been declared as peaceful and ready for further development. And I also told in my speech that the Filipino people have to claim the peace that rightfully belongs to them.
What did you mean by that?
I think after 40 years of war, of internal war, our people are fed up of this. And if you see NPA remnants, I call them NPA remnants.
Remnants, not rebels.
Not anymore. They are, because there's no final political settlement between the government and the CNN, they will have to survive this administration. And the only way to survive is through extortion, through acting as gun for hire. Just they even torch the equipments that are being used for development. You know, if there's development, they will be very irrelevant because people will just go on with their lives.
Yeah.
In fact, in one encounter in Tarlac, where we decimated the entire Tarlac command. That place used to be a hotbed, but now there are roads, there are bridges, there are people can work, they have their electricity. they are not used to anymore seeing armed people.
The Philippine-U.S. Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, is still with the Defense Department. Are you awaiting instructions?
Yes,
as
of
what's
course.
going to happen?
Of course.
How are you preparing for that?
I think we are offering our military bases, any military base they want to use, and if they say that they want to explore the possibility of putting up the EDCA facility in Port Magsaysay, we will welcome them. And if we think that it's not good for us to open those other places, we will also tell them.
Okay. How crucial is it for the AFP that we have strategic alliances with allied nations?
It's very important because, you know, in a very globalized world, if you have the cooperation of other countries, it's more of the art of war. They say the greatest art of war is not firing a single shot, and the greatest art of war is building alliances with your neighbors so that you understand each other and you don't have to go to war.
And that coming from a soldier,
I think
that is unusual.
I think better there is peace than war, because you know, we are the first casualties if there's war.
Okay. Can PMAers, sir, I'm just jumping on to the next topic. Can PMAers in the AFP officer corps continue to adopt the honor system?
Of course, we believe in the honor system, and we can adapt because of the changing times. That's why we are now currently reviewing the honor system so that it will be more relevant, more responsive and responsible.
Can you tell us what your command guidance was earlier after the change of command ceremony? You had a command conference. What was your command guidance?
Of course, as regards to work, I told them that they should be precise, look into the details. They should be hardworking, and they should be committed to excellence. Attention to details, hard work, and commitment to excellence.
Let's backtrack a little bit, sir. Earlier you were talking about how important it is to have peace in an area where there is, because if there is peace in that area, then progress can come, no? And that will equate eventually to prosperity. Is that the line of your, the theme of your tenure as Chief of Staff? Peace, progress, prosperity?
Yes, that will be the line of my tenure, because a just and lasting peace will be achieved if there's prosperity. What the President is saying is inclusive growth or prosperity for all.
All right, General Catapang, we will continue this interview. News.PH will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to News.PH. I'm Hontiveros. We're here in Camp Aguinaldo. Together, or with us, is Lieutenant General Gregorio Pio Catapang Jr., the new Armed Forces Chief of Staff. General Catapang, when we talk about the Army's modernization program, what exactly are we talking about in terms of weapons and ordnance?
You know, as you very well know, we will, some of the rifles that we ordered, about 20,000 of them have arrived, and we are just about to distribute it. And then we also have the night fighting system capabilities and the radios. It's an amount of 8.5 billion.
How many pieces of, or how many units of this night fighting equipment?
Maybe well enough to equip a battalion.
A battalion is how many men, sir?
About 500 people.
500. Night fighting, ano to, yung night vision?
Night vision, yeah. We need to develop those capabilities because we want to fight 24 hours a day. So either gabi, umaga, tanghali, we can do the fighting.
Okay, so 20,000 rifles, night fighting equipment for 500 men. What else is coming in?
Radios.
Radios.
Then also the body armor.
Body armor.
Yeah, to protect our soldiers.
Okay.
And the vest and the Kevlar helmets. These are the things that are in the pipeline.
Okay, and there will be real deliveries.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Okay. So that's for the Army, sir. For the Air Force,
The Air Force, yeah.
we all long for the day when we have a modernized Air Force.
Yeah, of course. We'll have the combat utility helicopters, the long-range patrol aircraft, and then the radar system. And then our interim fighter planes or transition fighters with the KA-50, soon to be delivered next year, hopefully next year.
So next year for the KA-50 and the others, next year also?
Yes, of course.
Next year, 2015. Well, that's not too long from here. This modernization of the armed forces, the Air Force is geared towards internal or external defense?
It's more of territorial defense, be able to patrol our EEC, the islands across, and also be able to see. The radars will be able to monitor aircrafts that are coming in.
Okay. Those areas in the West Philippine Sea.
Yeah, right now we are just focused on the West Philippine Sea, but ultimately the entire country. So that even if we are on the Pacific side, we can also monitor aircrafts coming in.
When you say radar, you're saying that we don't have radar right now?
Yeah, very weak radar system.
Very weak. When you say very weak, can you
we can just monitor a certain part in up north, and that's all. We continuously just rely on the commercial radars that
commercial radar systems
for the commercial airplanes.
So all these decades we've been blind.
Yes, of course. You know pretty well, Pia. We had misfortune of not being able to fully implement the first modernization program. We had an RA 7898, which allowed us to modernize starting 1995, and it ended in 2010. And even Congress authorized us to spend 165 billion. We were asking about 331 billion. But they told us that cannot be. The economy cannot support it. So they made it into half. They put a cap, 165 billion, and then told us if in 15 years our economy will improve, then we will support the remaining amount. But for the first 5 years, it was telling us, it told us that they can support 50 billion.
Okay. What happened to the first modernization program? In one sentence, sir, ano pong naging kapalpakan nun?
We had the financial crisis.
Just the financial crisis?
Yeah, we were not able to really buy those things because we had an Asian flu.
Okay. Nothing else? There were no miracles? Walang mga milagro on the side?
No miracles.
No miracles, okay. Well, actually, we need a miracle now for the modernization and defense. In terms of the Navy, sir, are we only dreaming when we say that we wish we could defend all these reefs and islets and in the West Philippine Sea, for example? Just that portion.
Oh, we're not only dreaming on that portion. You know, I was telling them we are so concentrated in West Philippine Sea, but a lot of things are happening up north, the Babuyan Island, chain of islands in Batanes. And a lot of things are also happening in the Pacific side. So,
Pacific side meaning which areas there?
The Benham
Rise.
Yes.
Okay. Meron na raw nakitang Chinese ship halimbawa sa Benham Rise?
I don't know. I don't think so because I think the Chinese are on the West Philippine Sea side. Maybe what you're telling us is the poachers, the illegal fishers. You know, in Batanes, the governor is complaining that every day they have about 20 poachers coming from illegal fishermen from Taiwan. And then they even experience being marooned in Batanes. And we are not able to catch them.
Okay. Although we had an incident last year, hindi po ba? The Coast Guard, trying to accost or arrest some Taiwanese fishermen.
Yes.
But that
there was an
incident ended badly, no?
Yes.
What does the Navy have, sir, already? No, let's just concentrate on what the Navy expects to get very soon in terms of modernization.
I think they will have the ships that they want, and also the aircraft that they also need. And for the Marines also, they will have to be given land fighting capability. And two frigates, the frigates that they need. There's some more coming in.
When are they coming in? Next year also? Or?
I think there's a lot of donations that are coming in. And of course, if the Coast Guard is also modernized, they will complement the Navy's effort to secure our coastline and our exclusive economic zone.
Sir, during your term as Chief of Staff, are we going to see the AFP's modernization plan go full speed ahead?
I think it's in a full speed ahead.
So, dire-diretso lang?
Opo. Hopefully, the next administration will realize that it is to our interest to invest on the protection of our EEC and our territorial claims.
Sir, if we were to assign percentages, no, for internal defense and territorial defense in terms of the modernization, can you give us an idea? What is it? 50%, 50%, or 75-25, or what? Kung internal defense po ang pag-uusapan, what percentage is assigned for modernization?
I think it will just be about 20%,
20%.
and 80% will be focused on territorial defense.
Territorial defense, okay. And of course, we're talking about West Philippine Sea, etc. And like you said, up north, Batanes area, and on the right,
On
Pacific
the Pacific
also.
Ocean.
Okay. Sir, can we talk about your involvement in the Reform the Armed Forces movement before EDSA 86? You were a member of that, of RAM, right?
Of course, yes.
Can you tell us about that, sir?
You know, if there was one historical moment that really caught my attention, or that I was not in favor of, was the assassination of our good senator, the father of our president. You could just imagine, we prepared an elaborate security preparation just to secure him, and in the end, he got killed. So I think it was really an insult to the armed forces. And
Okay.
up to now, nobody has been...
We have not been pointed the mastermind. Sir, so you graduated 81, so you were 2 years in the service. You were a second lieutenant at that time. Where were
Yes.
you assigned at the time of the assassination?
I was assigned in Barangay Malatunol, Palimbang, Sultan Kudarat in Mindanao.
Sultan Kudarat. Okay. Did his assassination have the same effect on other officers? Your classmates, for example, yung mga mista po ninyo, your underclass, upper class?
Of course, it has an effect. You know, it was an insult to the armed forces of the Philippines to see a person as high as a senator being killed in the hands of the military.
Okay. And at what point did you join the RAM? So August 83 yung assassination, kailan po kayo sumali sa
Right after, when they were
recruiting?
or it was not a recruitment, they just come and they talk about the problems of
So
the country.
meetings muna. Where were those meetings held? Here in Camp Aguinaldo?
I think the meetings were held in the Department of National Defense.
Oh, okay. And you had
And then
that opportunity?
also the PNP.
PNP in Krame?
Headquarters, yes.
Okay. And you joined some of those meetings?
It was an open meeting because at that time I was a student at the University of the Philippines, taking up my master's in Poli-Sci.
Okay.
And then my brother-in-law told me to join the Upsilon fraternity. That's why I had a hard time joining that fraternity.
Okay.
Because they were telling that I was sent by the Marcos to infiltrate Upsilon
Okay.
and to infiltrate the UP.
Yeah. So what exactly was your role noong EDSA 86 as a RAM member?
We were just the spokesperson, the junior officers. together with Gerald Valeroso,
Dado Valeroso.
Rafi Tadeo, JB Javier. Yeah.
Okay, so spokesman lang.
Yeah, we were there to show our support because at the time the insurgency problem was getting worse, and the people was being identified as human rights violation,
Okay.
curtailment of freedom.
So when the mutiny was planned for February 86, you were in on that planning also?
No, we were
No.
not involved. We did not know that there will be a coup because we
okay.
are just on the propaganda side.
Okay, so nalaman nyo na lang nung nag-break away na si FVR at si JPE, nung nandito na
Yes.
sila sa Aguinaldo.
Yes, it's only the time.
At that
we know.
moment, what did you do? Did you come here to Aguinaldo? What?
We came to Aguinaldo, and then we were told that we will have to put up a stand in Aguinaldo. And then the people power started.
Yeah, so you were here all 4 days?
No, we were the ones who were sent out. We were about 300 soldiers, PNP and AFP,
Yeah.
who went to Veritas to secure a vital installation so that the voice of the people can still be heard.
Okay, so that was Veritas. All right, we'll have to take a short break, sir. News.PH will be right back. When we come back, Lieutenant General John Bonafos of the AFP Central Command is joining General Catapang here on News.PH. We'll be right back. Welcome back to News.PH. I'm Pio Hontiveros. We're here in Camp Aguinaldo together with Lieutenant General Gregorio Pio Catapang Jr., the new Armed Forces Chief of Staff. And joining us now is Lieutenant General John Bonafos of the AFP Central Command. Good evening, General Bonafos. Thank you also for joining us. Central Command covers, ano po yung AOR ninyo?
Mayong gabi sa atong mga audience sa Visayas area. Central Command covers the whole of Visayas area composing of the Samar Island, Leyte, Cebu, Biliran, Siquijor, and Panay Island as well as Negros Island.
All right. So these are the areas, sir, na tinamaan ng Yolanda at ng Glenda. Can you tell us what it was like? Here, during Yolanda and Glenda, the AFP was able to carry out its HADR or humanitarian assistance and disaster response roles, right?
Yeah, comparing Yolanda and Typhoon Glenda, in terms of magnitude, masyadong malakas yung Typhoon Yolanda. So, although the troops were able to prepare for HADR as well as the DRO activities, but then the magnitude was so overwhelming that even our first responders, as well as those from the local government units, were themselves victims. So, while comparing it with Typhoon Glenda, the troops were able to prepare more extensively due to the experience that we had during Typhoon Yolanda. And the extent was not so much compared to Typhoon Yolanda. So the reaction was very much prepared, and our troops have displayed their responsiveness to the effect of Typhoon Glenda.
General Bonafos, of course, we cannot avoid na kayo rin mismo ang magiging, yung first responders, kayo rin ang nagiging biktima. But given the experience of Yolanda and a little bit of Glenda, no, how are you going to make sure that kahit papaano, pwede pa rin kayo mag-respond immediately?
Because of our experience that even our line units were themselves victim as what we had experienced in Typhoon Yolanda, we make it a point that all our units in the major islands will be prepared, and that all the units deployed in each of the major islands will be ready deployable to any other islands that will be immediately affected by typhoon, so that the troops from Visayas or the troops from Summer Island will immediately be reinforced by the forces coming from either Cebu, Bohol, Negros, or coming from Panay Island. And in the same manner, if the affected area are from the western side, the troops coming from Central Visayas as well as Eastern Visayas will be also prepared to reinforce our troops there in the western part. So this is right now our mode of assisting the troops that are affected by the typhoon.
What is the adjustment like, General Bonafos, for soldiers? Kasi po, siyempre ang sundalo sanay sa gera. Diba? When you respond, it is to an encounter or to an ambush and or you go out on an operation. But with HADR, with disaster response and humanitarian assistance, parang nagbabago. Nagbabago ba talaga yung role ng sundalo? Or is this exactly what a soldier should be doing also?
Before, the HADR activities is we treat it as a non-traditional role. But right now, we have come to realize that HADR, as well as DRO or Disaster Response Operation, is right now a traditional role for the military because we have learned that the first responders, aside from the local government HADR units, the first responders are also the military forces. So that's why it being a major part of our functions, so we make it a point that this will be one of our mission that we have to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the peace and order situation, sir, in terms of insurgency in your AOR, AFP Central Command. What is the situation right now?
As far as internal peace and security operations right now here in Visayas, we are proud to announce that we have just declared on the month of May that Region 7 was already declared as a conflict manageable and development ready region. The entire region is right now under state of normalization, being Negros Oriental, the last province of Region 7 that was declared, because Cebu and Bohol were earlier declared as insurgent-free provinces, and Siquijor was normally a unaffected province, and the last one to be declared was the province of Negros Oriental. So the whole Region 7 is right now under state of normalization. The provinces are either insurgent-free or under the state of conflict manageable and development ready province.
So insurgent-free meaning wala na pong NPA? Ganun po ba yun? Or meron pa rin?
We can say that the insurgency problem in those provinces is such that it is already to a insignificant level. If there are some instances that happens and it is related to insurgency, these are already minor and already treated as a police matter. As well as for those areas that was already declared under the state of conflict manageable and development ready areas, same is true, but these are the terms that are wherein the local government chief executive are more familiar and comfortable with the terms that we are going to use.
How are you able to achieve this insurgent-free status, as you call it? Was part of the reason itong Guns for Peace, Balik Baril program, kasama po ba yun?
This is a holistic approach that we have implemented. And of course, this is in line with our internal peace and security plan, Bayanihan, that was authored by our former Chief of Staff, General Bautista. In this implementation of the internal peace and security plan, everybody is involved. All of the stakeholders were involved. We used to call this the we approach. And it is not only the military that is supposed to be responsible for the insurgency problem, but we have to get to involve the local government units, the population in the area, and other stakeholders such as the religious sectors, the students group, the labor sectors, and all others that are affected by peace and security problems. And in the same manner that you have mentioned, Pia, is the Balik Baril program. These are some of the programs that we implement once we have those rebels that were those who surrendered from the government forces out of our Bayanihan team activities that we're implementing in all of the areas affected by the insurgents. And these are also one of the program under the IPSP Bayanihan, in which we have to render support to our brothers who would want to live a normal life now under within the ambit of our rules and regulations under the law, and who would rather work with government, and who would rather live with the people in a peaceful manner.
Thank you, General Bonifaz, for giving us that update on what's going on in your area. General Catapang, of course, that is Central Command. There are other area commands of the Armed Forces of the Philippines spread all over. There's Northern Luzon Command, NOLCOM, SOLCOM, Westcom, Eastmincom, Westmincom. Ang experience CENTCOM, is that replicated? Is that what's happening all in all other areas, or are there specific situations? What are the specific situations for each?
For NOLCOM, where I was the commander, I told the people that I will declare the area, the 22 provinces, as peaceful and ready for development in 6 months' time. And I told them that they have to claim the peace that they have been wanting for the last 40 years. You know, the local chief executive supported me, supported the soldiers. That's why you'll see the unstoppable growth in the NOLCOM area. In southern Luzon, we also have the Calaba, the Calamba, or Cavite, Laguna, Batangas. Still, there's a lot of development coming in. In Visayas, Bonapos, in Mindanao, there are some headway coming in. And then, of course, the highlight for Mindanao is our peace accord with our MILF brothers. So, out of the 45 provinces, or out of the 73 provinces that are have remaining insurgency problems, 45 have been declared as peaceful and ready for further development. So we are almost just following the sequence of how to declare an area as peaceful and ready for further development.
All right. So let's talk very briefly about Western Mindanao Command, that area, yung AOR nila, because there are many reports of kidnapping incidents in Sabah, in Malaysia, involving reportedly armed men from the southern Philippines. What is the AFP doing about that?
Yeah, what we just talked about during the command conference is General Guerrero has put up a preemptive task force in order to put a stop on the kidnapping in the borders. And, you know, they are kidnapped in Sabah and then they're brought in Mindanao or Basilan, Tawi-Tawi, Sulu. So, they have put up a system together with the PNP to put a stop on the kidnappings in the area.
All right, we'll have to take a short break. News.PH will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to News.PH. I'm here with General Gregorio Pio Catapang Jr., the new Armed Forces Chief of Staff, and General John Bonifaz of the AFP's, the Armed Forces Central Command. AOR is in the Visayas. General Catapang, some questions about the appointment as Chief of Staff. When you did 10 push-ups, when Secretary Gasmin told you last Wednesday that you were chosen as Chief of Staff, did you survive that?
Of course.
Of course you did. How long did it take you to do 10 push-ups?
Maybe about 15 seconds.
15 seconds. Is that a good record?
Yeah, it's good.
Talaga?
Because you have to do for me, in order to pass the PFT, you have to do 15
physical fitness test?
Yeah, we have the physical. You have to do 15 push-ups in 2 minutes. So I did it in almost half of it.
Oh, okay. Pero hindi kayo hinihinga, no?
Hindi naman.
Hindi. And you did that in front of Jojo, Executive Secretary Jojo Ochoa?
Yes, of course. Ano lang yun? That's lambing. You know,
Lambing lang yon.
Carino Militar. That's what
okay.
we call it.
But I'm sure so many other officers would love to do 10 push-ups to become Chief of Staff.
Of course, yes.
Of course, di ba? Who was the first person you called to share the good news? Na, so, syempre, nandito po kayo sa Aguinaldo. Sino po yung una-una yung tinawagan?
Of course, my wife.
Ay, very good. And what did she say?
Ay, sabi niya, salamat na bisita ko na ata lahat ng simbahan para magdasal ka.
Okay. Were you talking about this with your wife, kayong dalawa, about becoming Chief of Staff when, syempre, napag-uusapan, di ba?
Of course,
Rumors.
yeah.
Ano yung napag-usapan yung mag-asawa?
Now, it can be told, siguro.
Yes.
When I was a colonel, I was staying in D&D. I was planning just to finish. I was in the freezer, so cold. And then, the president opened the friends or the close friends of the president always calls me. They ask me, "Kamusta ka na?" Then I told them, I'm okay. I told them.
What year was this nung colonel po kayo?
That was in 2006.
Okay. You were in the freezer nung panahon ni Gloria Arroyo.
Yeah.
Naku, isang buong episode yan. No?
Hindi naman. And then, I was so exposed dito sa OCD because at that time, I was recruited at the Office of Civil Defense to do some planning because they were planning to conduct an HADR, Voluntary Disaster Response. I planned for 8 months on how to countries, if we have a disaster, could come in the country.
Okay.
That was a long time ago, and it was very successful. And then I was thinking that maybe I can prepare myself for a second career. And then when the president got...
Second career in?
I was...
Disaster response.
Yeah, I was so young. I will retire at the age of 56. And I told to myself, I still have a long way to go. And then in D&D, I took up the Career Executive Service Eligibility
CESE.
Yeah, course. And then I passed it for the... I underwent it. Then when the president became the president, I told him that I want to retire already. And that was in 2010.
Okay.
And then he told me, when will you retire? I'll be retiring at 2015. So he told me, no, you just wait for your turn. So I never thought to become the Chief of Staff, but I was prepared to have a new career. Because I still want to serve the country after my retirement.
Okay. Let's talk about retirement and the age of retirement. So, 56. General Bonafos, kayo po, medyo matagal pa kayo sa serbisyo.
Yeah, I am supposed to retire by October 19 of 2015. So, for that period, siguro from here up to that period, marami pa naman tayong maitutulong, lalong-lalo na kay General Catapang, who happens to be one of my classmates also in our Command and General Staff course. And I am assuring him that we will be working more than as a team.
Is 56 too young an age to retire for military and police officers also?
I think
Parang
that age
bata.
is masyado pang bata because the institutional knowledge gained from that period of more than 30 years of active military service ay nakakapanghinayang ito na biglang mawawala na taglay ng ating mga officers who will be retiring at the age of 56. And from that age of 56 up to the age of 60, medyo marami pang magagawang importanteng activity as well as in decision making. Medyo magagamit natin ng husto itong ating mga senior military officers na nagre-retire ng maaga.
Do you agree with that, General Catapang? Parang masyadong
Yes,
bata
of
ang
course.
56, ano?
Age 56 is still young because in other countries, if you get promoted to a very sensitive position, your term is extended for another 2 years. So that if you have a project or a program, you can see it through and you are able to finish it. But in our case, that's why in our case, we have campaign plans. The IPSP campaign plan initiated by General Bautista, we have to nurture it. We just have to go on with it. We have an AFP transformation roadmap. We just follow it because that roadmap, if it will be implemented, needs 15 years
Okay.
of nurturing and
Alright.
seeing it through. So there's no problem for us if we retire early, but I think there's a solution to that. Right after a retirement, if you heard the speech or the president was talking to General Bautista, he told how many days would you want to go on leave before I give you a new job? So we end up just like Secretary Pama, General Alano. They are all those who retired at the age of 56 are given a new job. So I think they also see the wisdom. They know that 56 is so young, but they also they are extending us by way of putting us in a
government
civilian
service pa rin.
yes.
Civilian,
A
oo.
civilian.
Pero sayang pa rin military, yung stock knowledge na
Yes, of
ninyo, no?
course.
Sayang kasi yung pagiging military officer ninyo. But I wanted to ask also about itong promotion system, no? Yung giving of assignments, handing out assignments. How can we professionalize it? Will there ever come a time na para magkaroon ng assignment or promotion, hindi na kailangan ng padrino? General Bonafos, would you like to answer that?
Sa ngayon ay talagang nakikita natin yung fairness dito sa ating promotion system sapagkat meron naman tayong sinusunod talagang SOP in terms of promotions. So with that policy now that are being implemented not only from the start of the junior officer up to the senior officer, we can see the sense of professionalism within the rank as well as within the leadership in choosing an officer to occupy a command position as well as to promote an officer from one rank to another. So we already follow a career management path. So it is incumbent upon you individually to prepare yourself competitively. So the institution will just manage the progression of your career, but you have your equal responsibility for your career.
Okay. Pero kung ikukumpara natin sa dati talagang sobrang padrino, napakalakas na padrino system. Ngayon, medyo hindi masyado, ganon.
Hindi naman po, kasi
Hindi
meron
naman.
po kami sistema sinusunod.
Oo. You should know that, hindi ba, General
course.
Catapang? Kasi yun yung isang issue ng RAM dati, di
Opo.
ba? Oo.
And then I think it's really fair because meron kang at the major service level, they are the ones who look after your career, no? And then if you make good, a board of senior officers will promote you to the next positions of responsibility. And then this recommendation is elevated to the board of generals, and ultimately it's the president's prerogative to choose who among the generals will get to have that position and get to be promoted.
General Catapang, kanina ang pinag-uusapan natin yung in other countries, there's an extension if the officer is given a critical position. Do you think chiefs of staff of the AFP should have longer terms, longer tenure? So for example, kayo po hanggang 1 year lang kayo. Dapat bang bigyan ng fixed term ang chief of staff? 3 years?
I think we all serve at the pleasure of the president. Maybe we can just adjust the retirement age. Let's adjust it to 60.
Okay. So wag na natin pag-usapan yung 3 years for CS, Basta everybody hanggang 60 na lang.
hanggang 60.
Are you going to propose legislation for that? Would you? Would the AFP under your leadership do that?
We can look into it. We'll propose. Kasi marami pong bills yan na naka-file ngayon. And we'll try to propose or help in the proposal of the bill.
Okay. Do you also follow orders when it comes to hobbies, pastime? General Catapang, ano pong hobbies niyo? Meron po ba?
Right now, nakafocus kami. Yung mga generals, we have 2 sports. One sport is the favorite of Secretary Gasmin, which is golf. And another sport, which is the shooting, which is the president's sport. So,
okay.
so we have 2 competition: the Battle of the Generals, which is shooting, and then the Games of the Generals, which is the golf. So
okay.
we regularly have a competition on this. So we have to make good and
okay.
be sure that we hit the ball and we hit the target.
You be sure, may mga ganun. So, ganun din sa inyo, General Bonafos. So, golf and shooting.
Yeah,
Parang napipilitan na lang kayo kasi yun ang gusto ng mga boss nyo, ganun.
May dagdag lang, no? Kasi medyo peaceful na yung Central Command, or rather Central Visayas area. So, we are right now involved in Bike for Peace, because
okay.
Central Command is named the peacemaker of the Visayas. So we would like to advocate this through biking. And we would like everyone to be aware also that they should share the road, not only for the vehicle, 4-wheel vehicle, but also to bikers, because we would want to advocate clean air also in our environment.
Okay. Final words, General Bonafos, kayo po muna.
Sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan na nandyan sa Visayas area, rest assured that your Central Command forces, including the 3rd Infantry Spearhead Division, the 8th Infantry Stormtroopers Division, the Naval Forces Central of the Navy, and the 2nd Air Division of the Philippine Air Force, and all other support units of Central Command, especially the 53rd Engineer Brigade. These units of the AFP will continuously provide the security and the protection that you have endowed on us, and that we will continuously provide services to our people, especially when it comes to calamities of any magnitude, and we are always there to ready to provide assistance and help to the people of Visayas, not only to Visayas but also to other major islands of the Philippines.
Thank you.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, sir. General Catapang, final words.
Of course, we'd like to thank you for inviting us to your show, Pia, and we'd like to assure the Filipino people that we will continuously do our job. And we are here to serve you. But we are also asking you to claim the peace in your respective areas so that we can prepare for the bigger challenges that we will be facing in the 21st century. And this includes global war, global warming, and global climate change, the transnational crime, our maritime security, the protection of our EEC, and hopefully the threat to weapons of mass destruction. So what we need now is to move forward, to win the peace, to win the progress, and to have a prosperous country so that our country will also be able to fund our AFP modernization program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Maraming salamat po sa inyong dalawa, and my snappy salute to the both of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for watching. See you again next Wednesday. This has been News.PH in Campo Aguinaldo, the headquarters of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Good night.
we will experience those things in the near future.
So it was your personal experience, sir,
yes, of course, the personal
Yeah.
experience.
Okay, because although General Manny Bautista did talk about well, humanitarian assistance and disaster response as another role of the soldier, it sounds like you're going to take this to the next level, no?
Yes,
Mas
of course.
paigtingin pa ito.
Yes, of course. Our role is the protector of the people. And it did not say that we will be only protectors of the people during war or armed conflict. I think it also includes protection of the people from natural calamities.
You did a series of trainings for HADR, Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response, in NORCOM. Are you going to replicate this now all over the country now that you're Chief of Staff?
Yes, of course. Because of our experience in Typhoon Yolanda, I told my commanders that you don't need to ask permission to put up the command center or the OCD AFP Action Center. Right immediately after the storm leaves, you have to put up a command center so that the people will know that there's a response that is being done by the government, together with the AFP and the Office of Civil Defense.
Are soldiers going to be trained also the way they were
Yes,
in
of
NORCOM?
course. You know, the problem now is we are all, we want to help, but we
Good evening. This is News.PH, but it's not politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. It is rare that the leadership of the armed forces of the Philippines gathers together. That rare moment came today when Lieutenant General Emmanuel Bautista retired and stepped down as Chief of Staff, and when his academy classmate, Lieutenant General Gregorio Pio Catapang Jr., swore an oath as the new Chief of Staff. This all took place in a change of command ceremony that is a military tradition. News.PH is privileged to be here in Camp Aguinaldo with the man named after two revolutionary hero brothers, the new AFP Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Catapang. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Pia. Thank
Sir,
you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for accepting our invitation, sir. Sir, can we begin with this? Why do you think that the biggest threat to the country is not armed insurrection or the armed rebels, but climate change?
First of all, I'd like to say that formerly it was the rebels who were the greatest threat to our country, but now the situation has changed. Just for example, the Typhoon Yolanda. At a single typhoon, could you just imagine a single typhoon killing more than 6,000 Filipino people? And now, because of global warming and climate change that spawn super typhoons, the soldiers cannot anymore stop this challenge. Not like before, when the soldiers are told that there are insurgents in a barrio, we come and they run. Now, when we go to the barrio and tell them that there's a typhoon coming, all of us run and go to the evacuation center.
So you have a new battle plan for this new enemy on the horizon?
Yes, that's why what I told during my acceptance speech was the wars that will be fought will all be global. It's global terrorism. We still have terrorism. We have still insurgency in the countryside, but it's more of global. It's supported by the Al-Qaeda down there at the ASG. And hopefully it will be contained in Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. Another global challenge is the
climate change? Okay. You're saying because these threats know no borders. Wala sila, they go through porous borders, in other words.
Yes, of course, then you also have the maritime security concerns. You also have hopefully the PNP and other government agencies can handle that. The threats to transnational crime, global weapons smuggling, arms smuggling, human smuggling, and hopefully not global threat to weapons of mass destruction.
So the concern about climate change is something that is very close to your heart. I remember that when you were in the Northern Luzon Command in NOLCOM, you and your soldiers turned mahogany and acacia trees into furniture, no? To raise funds for the victims of Yolanda.
Typhoon Yolanda. We were hit by Typhoon Santi, but fortunately it was just the strong winds. Now, because the trees that fell down saved our lives, because they were so enormous, the wind, the strong winds, the trees absorbed the strong winds, and they fell. So had not been for these trees, maybe our barracks, our headquarters should have been blown out. So we want to immortalize them because they were able to save our lives. So that's why we are also not only active in disaster response, we are also very much active in tree growing, not only tree planting.
Okay. Why is this something that is very close to your heart, this concern about climate change?
You know, I've always experienced disasters during natural calamities, and I see that as early as 2009, I saw the coming in of a new war. You remember Undoy, Peping, Ramil, and there were even 2 typhoons that were supposed to come in, and hopefully they did not. It paralyzed the entire Luzon area. First, Undoy hit Metro Manila. We were paralyzed the whole day, and then we had a bad experience wherein the chain of command was in disarray.
During Ondoy,
that was, I still remember that, September 26, 2009. I was working in the office, and when I was about to take my lunch, Secretary Gibo Chodoro was in front of the lobby of D&D, and I told him, "Sir, why are you here? It's raining hard." You know, Greg, it's not only raining hard. The entire Metro Manila has been isolated. I'm the only one here, and nobody is manning the office. So he told me, you better join me because General Rabonsa is out, General Goles is out, the administrative officer is out. I'm only all alone. So